for them. Okay, good.
Okay, sure.
All right. So we left off at economic growth and development, right? And I told you that there's many, well, just a few objectives that we have to cover. The first one we've tackled already, which was developing human resource. And we said that there's two types of resources, human and physical. And we gave them characteristics. We defined them and differentiated between them. And then the next objective that we looked on was the factors that influence one of the resources, which was the human resource. We said that, for example, for people to be working, because that's a human resource, people who are employed, right? There are certain factors that affect that, which is the quality of education, the quantity of the population, the composition of the population, who is male and female, who is what gender and age range, right? Skills development. What do they learn after their initial education in the workplace? Do they get any formal education more to help them learn? Or on the final one, the creativity. Because remember, everything that's really conceptualized is really from creativity. Imagine it. All right. So those are the two objectives that we looked at. Now, the next one we're going to look on is, write this for me, the importance of human resource to the economy. That's the one we have to tackle today. The importance of the human resource to the economy. And in good fashion, as I said, I'm always going to take notes for you guys, just in case that you might have missed something. So I'm going to screen share my notes for you. Okay. All right, let's go here. Could you post a message in the chat saying class has begun for me, please?
Sure.
So I'm just gonna open up the notebook for you and just gonna begin taking notes. So social studies. There we go. We're gonna say today's date. Today, January 4th, 2021. All right, look at my screen and you'll see the notes. Let's go here. Screen share. Right. Well, I only want to screen share one specific. Okay. Let me try something. Let's try that. Share. Okay, perfect. Got it. Okay. Can you see the screen right there? It says January 4th, 2021, social studies. Do you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the topic that I said we're gonna go through is the importance of human resource to the economy. Right? So remind me again, what is human resource?
Resources are things that are made from people, like tool, like equipment. Sure.
Wait. Let's put a pause on it. What is physical resource? So what is human and then what is physical? Because in order to know what exactly we are going to talk about the importance of, we need to know that, hey, we're not talking about the physical right now. So let's put it into perspective. The physical resources are the things you just stated, things that man has interacted with to make something. So if I have a land, right, that's a physical resource. If I have gold, physical resource, but it's not valuable until human resource, the skills, the knowledge, right, the talents people have, those are human resources because they're now able to use that to affect physical resource and make it valuable. So human resource, skills, talents, knowledge, and expertise of the working population. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, What is the importance of that? Why do we need to have a population between age range of 18 and 65? That's when I said that was the working age. What is, let's write that. What is the working age range? We said that it was age 18 to what? 60?
65.
Right. That's the working age range. So why is it important to have an age range of 18 to 65 working in your economy? Let's put it into perspective. Look at this for me. The first reason is that the variety of skills that that population will have helps to diversify your economy. So, if, for example, you are a country like Jamaica, we are known for tourism, but that's not the only thing. We're known for the coffee as well. We're known for the music. We're known for the sports, right? So having the different knowledges of the people in your population helps to diversify your skills. Okay. So I'm just gonna quickly give you some notes. That's the first one. Let's go here. Okay. Right. Let's go here. Okay. All right. So that's it. A variety of skills. The reason, right there for me, the reason. So the first one is gonna be importance number one is gonna be variety of skills. Let's number this. There you go. So variety of skills. And we said that in essence, this offers a wider range of goods and services in your population. This offers a wider range of goods and services in your population. Right? So that's only one though. Okay. Another importance is that the expertise that people have, right, can lead to better planning for a country in terms of using its resource. So if Jamaica has a water problem in a drought, who they need to turn to? Obviously, the scientists who have been studying this principle of conservation of energy and resource. So the expertise can lead to better use of resources for a country. Expertise, we're going to say that leads to better planning and use of resource for our country. Have that?
Yes, sir.
And the last one, because I'm not going to give you too much, but the last one is simply think about it. If I have a whole population that's working, it might not be always true, but the ideal way of thinking that people are working, that improves standard of living. It might not be true because some persons are working minimum wage job and they're barely surviving. But for the status quo of just saying that you work, you improve your life, that's what we mean. Because it gives you an improved standard of life. Might not be a rich life, but that's an improved standard, right? So improves standard of living through jobs, improves standard of living through jobs and opportunities. Let me give you a brilliant example. The tourism industry, the reason why it's so dominant is because there are so many opportunities there. There are not only opportunities in the harbor and so forth, but if you are a vendor, right, because of your expertise, you can make little gift baskets or so forth, and that's your job, right? And that's your standard of living. So through opportunities, really, the human resource is very valuable. All right, so those are the top three importances. I hope you have those. Next, okay, we have Brandon. Welcome, Brandon. Oh, I should give you one more, Tristan. Um, Again, do you know that there's a correlation between unemployment and crime, right? People don't have any options, so they just commit large
Yes,
crimes and
sir.
so forth. So when you have more persons in your population that's working, guess what? It drops poverty and crime level. So this is the no-brainer one, right? If you have more important resources, such as a human resource in your population, poverty levels decrease and crime level as well, right? Welcome, Brandon. Are you there? His mic isn't connected yet. All right. Okay. So let's go back here. Okay. So those are the importances. Okay. Now, the next thing that we want to look at is I'm going to give you a quick question or two. Right? Write in your own words. So I'm going to put hashtag activity. Just a quick activity. Just to see if you've been studying. Hashtag activity. Question one. Viewers numbered list. Question one. Write in your own words the definition of economic development. Huh? Pretty simple. Write in your own words the definition of economic development. Because remember, after every class, or I try to give you some vocabulary terms to make sure you know of. Like in the unit one, I always give you, for example, bullying um and meditate. I think it's mediation, right? Whenever you looked at like solving conflict, right? Those are the vocabulary terms I always try to push out. So in this one now, when you hear economy, economic development should come to play. So you're gonna write the definition of that word for me, right? And this question is gonna be one that you should answer as well. Using a definition, research, the word research, the types of economic development that you can find in your country. So there's two activities. And if you want to use the website, remember, you always go here, which is to filter. Let's go here. Here is to filter, and you're going to filter only for your activities, and you'll see all of them come up. But if you just want to see the notes, you unclick this and you just click the date, which is January 4th, and you see all the notes there. Understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's go to the next one. Okay. So next thing we're gonna look at now is a bubble chart. Right? A bubble chart. Wait, first of all, let me give you the vocabulary terms, as I said I always do. So the vocabulary terms for this unit is gonna be economic development, standard of living. Let me write it down. So let's put vocabulary terms. So when you're revising to answer those questions, vocabulary terms, economic development, standard of living, innovation, wealth, quality of life, skills, manufacturing practices, agricultural practices, creativity in production. Okay, so let's put that down there. Okay, good. Now we can continue. As I said, I'm going to give you a bubble chart now. All right, let me quickly screen share it. Okay, there we go. Brandon, are you there? Haven't heard from you yet, buddy. Let's check to see if he's connected. He still hasn't been connected. Um, Nevertheless. Okay, so look at this one now. So here's a diagram. There we go. So as I said, this is a diagram explaining the activities. Welcome, Brandon. Are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning. You've been disconnected for a while there. So we're in the topic of the importance of human resource to the economy. We we reviewed what human resource was and physical resource, differentiated between them, and now we're looking at the importance of human resource. So we said, for example, if I have a population of a working age which is 18 to 65, why do I need this? Why is it important for me to have this in my economy? Well, simply gives you a variety of skills in your population. So a variety of skills just offers a wider range of goods and services, right? Because if I'm diversified, I can ensure all economic input. That means I can get business on a wider scale, and that's good for the economy. The second one, expertise. So when you have people that are very educated, like doctors, bank employees, or so forth, this can lead to better planning fiscally or just economically on a whole for the country's use of the resources, right? The third one we said was that it improves standard of living through jobs and opportunities. But again, I stress to Tristan that this is just the ideal way of thinking about it, because remember, there's something called minimum wage jobs, which is essentially you're just surviving. You're not actually having an improved standard of living, right? But on a status quo of the general sense of getting a job, working, that's an improvement of your standard of living. So that's why we say that. And the final one, it drops poverty and crime levels when persons have been working, because that's what human resources is basically saying. Having a working population of age range 18 to 65 who have skills, knowledge, and expertise in a given area. Understand?
Okay.
Okay. Welcome, Sine. Are you there? It hasn't connected yet. So the next section that we were looking at is that I gave you a quick activity for those who weren't going to be here, because I realized some persons weren't here. Two questions. Write in your own words the definition of economic development based on all the things we've said so far. And the second one now, using that definition that you have in your mind, research two or a few types of economic development you can find in your country, right? And when you should have been doing that, then I gave you a diagram below here that explains the different activities that can form in your economic development. So look at it. I'm developing something. I'm improving my economy. What would I need to do? Well, I need to build better roads. So that's infrastructure. I need to invest in education for the next generation. That's investing in education. I need to create opportunities for persons to become self sufficient. That's creating jobs. And I need to also build and maintain amenities like hospitals and schools. And then the final one, invest in my country in terms of growing industries such as ICT, mining, and tourism. So that's how you develop your economy. You might not see the country always doing it, but when you hear of like a road in China that's been fixed, that's a site of economic development. When you hear of, like, for example, a new hospital that's been built, that's a site of economic development. So these activities are what economic development is. It's not just some fancy term that you can't understand. It's just activities by the government or the country to improve itself, develop itself, so to speak. Right? So just look at this diagram for me, get familiar with it, and we'll come back to this definitely. All right? Okay. So before we continue again, I always try to give you the vocabulary terms. So if you miss something, you can always just say, okay, this is where I left off. So let's look at some definitions. So creativity, we know that from the factors um, human, factors of human resource, we said that creativity was just innovation and imagination to develop something new, right? Production is creation, the act of, like for example, making something, reproducing something, or yielding something, right? Agricultural practices, farming, gardening, right? Manufacturing practices, building, production, construction, and fabrication, which is not always the truth, but that's what it means. Skills means to have a job, trade, craft, right? So they call you craftsman. The quality of life means to have a better state of life or improved. Wealth just means capital, stock. And what's that? There was human capital and physical capital. You should remember the definition of those. And stock and property. Innovation is just creating something new, newness, right? Newness, right? Standard of living. Standard is just let's see, what's a better word here? Model of maintenance. So how do you maintain your life? You use a specific model, right? And the final one, economic development, business growth, right? The growth of the economy is business. Everybody understand? So those are the vocabulary terms on
So,
a broad scale. Okay, good. So let's move on now. Any questions? Feel free to ask me before I move on. Okay, right. So here's the question that involves the diagram. As I said, we're gonna get back to it now. Look at the mind map or the brain map, if you'd like to call it. So let's go here. Activity, hashtag activity. Look at the mind map. For each of the following aspects, list at least 5 skilled jobs that it involves. When you've done that now, you're gonna tell me now, right? Building a hospital, establishing a school. So here's your first one: building a hospital, right? Establishing a school. The final one is providing communication infrastructure. Providing education and infrastructure. Quickly, right? So just quickly do this for me. I'm gonna give you 3 minutes or so just to take a little pause so you could absorb the information before we move on. Is everybody clear on what to do?
yes, sir.
And then now after you finish that, we're gonna have a class discussion on this one, right? Because it doesn't make sense to learn all this knowledge and you never apply it to anything, right? That's how you forget things. So when you apply your knowledge now, in the case of asking case study questions, right? Let's write that. So what we're doing is called case study, which is a fancy term to just say, oh, we simulate a real world type of event. So if something is happening, like education is dwindling or something that's bad that's happening, we can have a case study to observe it, which is just simulating it. So in the case of economic development, we're gonna have a case study to see what is going on. And when you finish with that, we're gonna get into it. But just for now, let's wrap that up. 3 minutes. Let me put the timer just to make sure you're taking 3 minutes. Timer, 3 minutes. There you go. All right. I'll stop talking for 3 minutes. Okay. All right. That's the 3 minutes. Everyone finished?
No, so
All right. How much? All right. Let me give you 2 more minutes. Huh? Let's put another 3 minute, 2 minute timer. There you go. That's 25. My bad. Okay. There you go. 2 minutes. All right. Let's continue. So I'm just gonna ask, Tristan.
yes, sir.
Okay, let's start with you. Tell me what jobs did you think you need to use in building a hospital? Let's start with that one. Building a hospital.
Construction,
Construction worker.
yes, sir. I'm not sure of any other, so
Anybody else? Sine?
Architecture, sir. Art, art.
Architecture. Okay. Architect. All right. Brandon, do you have any?
Sure, I had construction and architecture, and I had plumbers. Um, what do you call them again? Plumbers. I think retailers. So that's all I had.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. So for now, let's just work with those three. Let's move on now to establishing a school. Establishing. No, this is, didn't say building. Establishing a school. What jobs did you or would you need to have here? Let's start with Tristan again.
teachers,
Teachers. Okay. Sunny, any job you're thinking to have for establishing a school, Sunny? All right, let's go to Brandon quickly. Brandon,
A principal.
principal.
Sir.
Wait, can you repeat what you said? Sene?
Ask him to repeat what you said.
Oh, tell me one job you would need to establish a school. One skill job. We have teachers and principal. What else would we need?
A cook or a janitor, sir.
Janitor, like that. Cook. Okay. Uh, we would need a secretary for the principal as well. Could say that. Okay, so I like these. Good. And the final one, providing education and infrastructure. Let's look back on the diagram just to make sure. Providing education. So when we say, wait, let me quickly go back here. Okay, so when we say providing communication, sorry, communication infrastructure. That's my bad. Providing communication, sorry, supposed to be. So let me give you some examples of this. So let's look back at our diagram. Providing communication infrastructure, right? Think about it. Radio analysts, people who really communicate to the population important information. So we could say radio analysts or talk show hosts or radio hosts, audio engineers, right? Um, Persons who just work at a radio station. We might not have the exact job title, but we just know that those persons are the prime example of communication infrastructure. But on a whole, you could just say engineers because it's not only auditory a sense. You would need to really have skills in. You would need to really design a system for that infrastructure. So you'd need like a civil engineer, and the list goes on. But I just want to give a few examples, right? So a quick little assignment again. You're just gonna answer. How do you think each of the following could help economic development? So, for example, question one, question two, question three. Let me number them. Right. So, for example, establishing a school. How does a teacher help to really establish this school? Right. You're gonna answer this after class just to revise. Okay. Let's zoom up. So when we start back school regularly, you're gonna notice some change because this will be the last class using this style because I wanna speed essentially where we are. I wanna speed up because I don't have everybody here. It does take a huge chunk of the class to revise what was discussed, and I'm gonna need to change that because it does take away from the fluidity. So just look out for that. Uh, Next part that we're going to look at is education and labor force. So, so the next topic is education. That's not sure good there. So the first topic was the importance of human resource. The next one is going to be, let's go here, education and labor. Let's go here. Right. Okay. So look at this one. Let's give a case study quickly. For countries like Trinidad and Tobago, education was a big change for them. Today, education is seen as like an investment to improve the skills in your labor force, provide knowledge, and produce products and expertise for people, create new markets and opportunities, and just improve your cultural values on a whole. But in the past, Trinidad and Tobago workforce was a shortage of highly skilled workers, right? This slowed down economic development. Companies who needed more highly skilled workers had to employ people from other countries. So in 2015, The government of Trinidad and Tobago allocated $10.126 billion to education and training. Some of this money went towards free transport for students, book rentals, programs, scholarships, as well as towards building school and training teachers, right? So this type of investment is primarily for the labor force. So that's why you would see so many scholarships offers, because it actually, its value, it's way more determined down the line than just the initial value. So let me write this case study just so you could um, review it. There you go, case study there. Okay, and now we're gonna get into the definition. So when we say education, we're really just on a whole teaching wisdom, and wisdom is knowledge. So in other words, you could say education is the teaching of knowledge, ideas, opinions, beliefs, and skills, right? That's the definition for education. So we could say education is the teaching of knowledge, ideas, opinions, beliefs, and skills. Before the 1950s, the purpose of education was to just provide knowledge and understanding and to teach social values. But governments have now seen it as important, so they now have budgets for education, right? But before it was seen as a burden. So we're gonna now define the term, we just define the term education, right? And now we're gonna discuss the importance. So the objective is gonna be objective is gonna be to discuss the importance of education in developing our human resources, brainstorming ideas and write them in a large brain map, right? Same as how you see that I've done brain maps in the past, but hold on for a moment. So, as you said, however, in the past, people saw it differently. So now they have budgets for education. They thought that the more educated the population, the more beneficial they could be for the economy. And that is true. So, education has now become part of a country's investment, right? And the steps of getting proper education is through training. So there's a term that I wanted to write down: human resource development, HRD. So the first one to look at is human resource development, HRD. What this means is that when we talk about training, it's in other words developing something again. So it is used to talk about employees who develop their personal and professional skills through training. Let's write it down. It is used when we talk about employees developing their personal and professional skills, knowledge, and abilities through training. Right? And also, the reason why is because it focuses on developing the best labor force possible so that companies can achieve their work goals and deliver excellent service and to customers and clients. So let's break it apart a little bit. Training can start through just normal schools like colleges, technical colleges, universities, or even just training websites. So once a student has graduated from secondary school, they can do further education in institutions such as colleges, universities, or even just training websites. Okay. So let me ask a question. Why would I want to go back to school? I even after I've graduated high school. Sane,
You said?
why would I want to go back to school after I've graduated secondary school? What idea could you think that could come to mind? Why would I want to do that?
Advance your education and to gain a skill.
Right. Because when people go back to do further training, right, they have a wider choice of careers open to them so they can earn more money. That's right on. So people who go to do further training after school may have a wider choice of careers open to them so they can also earn more money. Right. And before we rejoin because the time is about to expire, I just want you to quickly write down the okay, we have Beyonce. There we go. I want you to just quickly write down this for me. So there are four types of training. Write that for me quickly. There are four types of training an employer can offer. Welcome, Beyonce. Right? So an employer is just a person who hired you. So we're quickly just gonna write them down and then we'll define them on the rejoin because time is about to expire. On the job training, that's one. Mentorship, succession training. And final one is tuition assistance. So we're gonna define these when we rejoin. Quickly take the notes. All right. Any questions?
No, sir.
All right. So remember, this is gonna be the last class that we really have like this, where I go over every time when someone joins. I'm gonna try or use a different model coming this new term. Right. All right. So rejoin for me, everyone. Just end the timer here. Rejoin.